Hey, I'm Jules, a qualified life coach, and I am currently traveling around the world, living my best life so that I can help others coach them to live their best life. And as I'm doing that, things are coming up. So this week it's about unwanted attention. So I went to do the Able Tasman walk, which is incredible, by the way. If you're in New Zealand, definitely do it. And I got some unwanted attention. And at first, when it happened, it was an older guy. And as he was saying hello, he asked my name twice, and then he held my hand just a little bit too long. You know, that kind of feeling that you can get. And so I kind of did my usual thing where I kind of avoided it, best to avoid it. When he was walking at the front, I'd walk at the back. If he engaged with me, I'd keep it just very kind of one-word answers, or, just polite, but not kind of, my usual sort of self. And weirdly, as sort of the first, I think it was the first day or second day went on, I started to feel guilty. I was like, am I overreacting? Have I judged this wrong? And I felt guilty that maybe I wasn't being very nice to him. So I was nice to him one evening. And then we were sat at dinner and he became so inappropriate, talking about that, the two of us being single, if we'd been put in a room together, he definitely wouldn't have been upset if that had happened. And the whole table just went deadly silent. And I just didn't answer. I just looked at him in horror. And he just went, I'm only joking. And I just kind of just stopped. And at that moment, I wanted to say, I feel uncomfortable. I'd like you to stop. And I didn't. And the words were just in my throat. They were there, ready to go out. And they stopped. And I realised they stopped because I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. But he was making me uncomfortable. So why wasn't I willing to make him or that table feel uncomfortable? And so it started to bring up a lot of stuff, and I realised that I remember the moment when I first felt frightened by a boy. And I was 10. And I had this boy, I think he was 12, who, I don't know even how he got to know me. He might have seen me at the park or maybe at the swimming pool, and he found out I was at the school. And he would come to the school gate and he would call my name. And at first, all my friends thought it was funny, and I didn't really think anything of it, just thought it was funny. But then one day he followed me home from school. And as he's following me home from school, he's saying these nice things, you're pretty, you're lovely, will you go out with me? And I said, no. I was like, no. But he didn't stop. And at that moment, I realised he wasn't going to stop. He wasn't taking my no for an answer. And up until that point, I'd had, obviously lovely men in my life, or boys in my life, and they little boyfriends, etc. And they had all been so respectful and lovely. But when I said no, they answered. They stopped. But he didn't. And he kept on following me, and he kept on asking me out. And I felt frightened and I felt scared. And that was a moment when the first bit of armour went on to me. And I realised that I hadn't asked for that attention, but I had gotten it, and it had scared me. So now I had a pattern where whenever there was unwanted attention, more armour would go up. So, I was in secondary school, and my boobs grew so quickly. And I was trying to not wear anything that was revealing. I had big baggy jumpers on, but of course everybody sees them. So I got called at them all the time. I'd have guys that would push into me, by accident, and then grab them. And it started the armour going up and up, because it was tension that I didn't want, and I didn't know how to control it. I felt scared at each moment that happened, and I didn't realise. So the armour just kept going on. And I know, like, you know, most women I talk to, situations happen, whether it be someone rubbing up against them on the tube or someone grabbing their bum or their boobs or whatever. And the more that happens, the more that you're causing someone to feel frightened or unnerved, because we don't feel like we have any control in that situation. And so then I realised that I was only going into relationships that I could control. If I couldn't control them, I didn't want to be in them. Or I'd be in relationships where they didn't want commitment, or they weren't really too fussed about me, or I'd fancied guys that didn't fancy me. So I felt like I was fancying someone, but it was never going to happen. So it was kind of a safety net. And so all of my relationships have been built up because I was too scared from that moment of unwanted attention to be vulnerable and to be in a partnership. I had to have control because I didn't have control when I have unwanted attention. And so it was a massive breakthrough for me. One that the next time that happens to me, because we know it's going to happen, it will happen, that I will feel safe enough that I can speak my voice and be, I'm uncomfortable. And even if they say they're joking or I'm overreacting, that I'm okay with that. And that, you know, if people do have, you know, guys in their life that they know do this, call them out, because you just don't know how, if you don't know that woman and you're hollowing across the, whatever it is, a bar or a tube or whatever it is, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know that they might not have been attacked or raped or, you know, in my case, feel frightened, you know, that's what you could be causing by a simple comment that you think's okay, you know, nice boobs or nice legs or whatever. And it was kind of just a wake-up call for me to say, you know what, we should, maybe as women, we need to tell guys this, that this is how it makes us feel, or can make us feel. Look, there's some women out there who are fine with it and it has no effect on them whatsoever, so I can't say it for everybody. But I certainly know a lot of women that makes them feel uncomfortable when that happens. So if you don't know the woman, don't say anything. Unless she comes up to you and you're in a bar and you're having a conversation and all that kind of stuff happens, you know, just honour the fact that you've got a mum, that you've got daughters or sisters maybe, that you could be causing them to feel frightened and unsure of themselves. So, hey, maybe just stop doing it. If you've done it before, you've done it when you've been drunk, just don't do it. And then the learning lesson for me is that I need to learn to be vulnerable. I need to take down the armour that I've put on, because I know that I'm kind of strong enough to, you know, say no. And I know that the men that are in my life, if I say no, that will be a no. But I can't keep trying to control a relationship, because it's actually not going to be beneficial for me, and I need to learn to be vulnerable. And I need to be in a partnership rather than me own everything, because that makes me feel safe. So that's what came up for me. It's crazy. And that's the thing when you're travelling, especially on your own, because you do sometimes feel vulnerable. And I think probably because I felt vulnerable, when that unwanted attention happened, I figured out where it came from. And I figured out how many times I've been putting up the armour of it. And hopefully it will help other women to, you know, think about maybe where they might have issues in their relationships, or kind of triggers that might happen. And, you know, if you do, then, you know, a coach can definitely help you. And we have some great tools, and I'll be using them myself as I go through that, to just take a breath and take a moment and be like, am I trying to control this situation? Am I feeling safe? And if I'm not, to verbalise it, to say, you know, this is triggering something for me. So, yeah, so that's my crazy ride. I hope that, you know, other women out there, if they feel safe and they have unwanted attention, they can voice their feelings and to maybe talk about it. Because I think we don't sometimes. We just know it happens to all of us. We don't necessarily voice it, and I don't even know if men know the effect that that might have on us. So maybe they will now, who knows. But anyway, yeah, so I am about to go to Stuart's Island. I'm really, really enjoying travelling on my own, because I kind of like the fact that I can just do what I want. And the unwanted attention is not going to stop me. It is simply going to make me grow in myself and in my relationships. So that's it for this week, and I hope you're all having a great time, and keep it real, and I'll catch you next time.